In today's episode, the Rover 2000 TC. Hello and welcome to Quarterlight, your car brochure channel. Yes, the channel here on YouTube that brings you car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s and sometimes beyond those years as well. Very niche subject, I know, but if you're interested in subscribing, please do so to the ever-increasing subscriber list. But thank you for watching. Today we're looking at the Rover 2000 TC. And I'm just going to spin the camera around to have a look at that particular brochure. So here it is, the lovely Rover 2000 TC. These first generation Rover 2000s or P6s. Arrived in '63, but this is the more sportier model, I guess you could say, the 2000 TC, which was launched in March 1966. And basically it was all surrounding the development of fitting twin SU carburetors and a redesigned top end. Now these particular vehicles, actually, it's fitting in a way because this brochure is actually North American. I should have mentioned that straight away. This isn't a UK brochure, it's actually from North America. But it is quite fitting because the original idea was just to sell this in North America. There's a few different reasons why they didn't want to sell it to the domestic market in the UK. One reason apparently was given that they just, in the UK, released a blanketed 70 miles per hour top speed, and this vehicle was deemed unnecessary at that lower speeds, which is a strange decision, particularly as we're talking about the 60s, and the 70 miles per hour limits, as far as I know, is still in the UK. A little bit odd, but I love the design of these P6s. This is when Rovers were actual proper cars. They were actually cars that were very forward thinking. So I do love the design of the Rover 2000s or P6s actually. And apparently the design was inspired by the Citroën DS19, which I find a little bit bizarre because I don't really see much resemblance in the two cars, to be honest with you. But obviously the Citroën DS was a very, very forward thinking car, but this one too, it is a beautifully designed car. I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for these, but I've never actually owned one. If we just zoom in a little bit further, it's just a pretty well designed car. Unusual little light on these, isn't it? And that's a little bit odd. There's one little light on that nicely shiny front bumper. I don't know if you can see it on this white example, but there is a bit of a TC badge on there, and on the front wing there, TC 2000, and even a little bit of a subtle nod to a bit of a fin on there on the back. Like I said, I think it's a really nice car overall. For the regulars who might be interested, and the people who've subscribed for a long time, this particular Rover 2000 was a brochure I considered doing for the 2000 subscriber special quite some time ago now. We do a subscriber special or a special episode for 1,000, 2,000 and 3,000 subscribers. Our next one is going to be at 4,000 subscribers, so we'll certainly have to think of something we can put on there for 4,000. But yeah, this was one of the considerations for the 2,000 subscriber special. One of the reasons I do like these cars, another, I think that front cover is absolutely wonderful. I think it would have suited being there for the 2,000 subscriber special. I was just looking through my folders, wondering what brochure to do today, and this was in I've not looked at it yet pile, because like I said, I must have pulled it out to consider doing it for then, and I've never touched it since. Now, the reason why I didn't pick this originally, because this front cover is actually the best image and the only colour image. So there's lots of nice details in here, but when we open up, it turns black and white, and I didn't really know how the audience would react to that. So a bit of a heads up, it will be going into black and white, so don't adjust your sets. We've not actually gone back to the 60s. But there is some nice details, so I hope you do stick with it. So yeah, when we open it up, it does go back in time and goes black and white, but that's okay, because like I said, there's some really nice little images and features that it shows in here. Not that much text actually either, so it's not going to be a particularly long episode, although we do have a spec page to come after that, which usually takes a little bit of time. We'll start with the text over here and then come back to this interesting image. So the text here, it does start off a bit weird, I will warn you. It starts off by telling you the Rover 2000 TC is a body, the way you are, a total organism, apparently. It is built as a single steel unit, immensely strong and safe. Only after it passes some rather nice tests of its outstanding performance and safety does it get its body. 19 beautifully fitted panels. So yeah, I told you it was going to be a little bit of a weird and a little bit of a different brochure, this one, for whatever reason. So here we've got this little bit of a half-built example, I guess, of the Rover 2000 TC. But I don't know if you've noticed yet, but I'll zoom in. We get a rather unusual driver. I would love to know whose dog that was and whose idea was. Or stick my dog in there and we'll take the picture with the dog in the driving seat. Little bit of a strange idea, but moving on, it does show some nice features. We'll get a bit of a look at the engine bay, and yeah, it is a shame, isn't it, that it's not all in colour, but still nice nonetheless. It tells us single overhead camshaft, twin carburettor, aluminium head engine. We get an outside racing mirror, which actually looks rather nice. DD on rear suspension, radial ply tyres, four-wheel disc brakes, a low drag body, high performance, fuel economy. So below them images we do get some quotes. The first one's from Road and Track, May 1966, telling us, taken all together, the Rover 2000 TC is a luxuriously fitted saloon, which in fact is that elusive object, a full four-seater, four-door GT car. The combination of road holding and comfort ensure the large distance can be covered with ease. The fuel mileage is quite remarkable. The finish is beyond reproach. You know, how many Rovers are described as the finish is beyond reproach? What happened? And then we've got a bit of a quote here from Car and Driver, May 1966. It's a bona fide safety car, one designed specifically to avoid accidents whenever they can be avoided, and to provide the greatest possible protection for its occupants when they cannot. So we continue our little tour of black and white photography with this rather nice interior shot. Notice that rather nice strip speedometer there. I think the steering wheel's interesting as well, isn't it? It tells us Buttrite adjustable racing wheel, tachometer, rationalised instrument panel layout, safety designed dashboard. Looks like we can get these Magnum 500 road wheels as an option. Lovely little shot there saying Grand Touring for 4. Another option here would be a Magstar sports wheel. And then we get to this, which we spotted on that front page, if you remember, thinking this was like a single spotlight, which sounded odd. But it's actually an ice alert electronic sensing probe for ice warning. So that's what I mean. Rover at this time were quite advanced and very much looking into the future. So they were a car to be reckoned with at this time. But I guess the budget constraints weren't really holding Rover back at this time. And then it just gives a little bit of an image of the badging there. Now turning to the back page, Now, moving to the back page, this is some of the smallest writing I've ever seen in a brochure, to be honest with you. So there's actually more information than you might think on that small back cover. They've really crammed it in there. We'll see how we get on. We'll pick some key points. We're not going to read it all, but I'll try and at least throw my camera over all of it if you do want to pause the screen. But like I said, I do apologise. The tiny writing may put some people off, but let's see how we get on. So the Rover 2000 TC technical specifications: the engine, position of engine, front type, 4 cylinders, vertical inline, single overhead camshaft, water cooled, tells you about the bore and stroke. Displacement 120.8 cubic inches. Remember, this is a North American brochure, so it's 1978 cc. Talks about the compression ratio. bhp 124 at 5500 rpm. Maximum torque 132 at 4000 rpm. Maximum RPM 6500. And it continues going through those details. Like I said, the writing is tiny. I'm not going to read it all. It will be a bit too waffly, but I'll certainly move the camera down. So if you do want to pause the screen at any time, please do so. And certainly one thing you will notice, the earlier the brochure, the more technical and sort of mechanical details they do put on there. And I think that's just generally because people were more mechanically minded back then. This is information that you would have read in detail. But if you look at brochures, for example, in the 90s, it hardly even tells you the engine size. So it shows a complete shift. I do like these early brochures for that. Moving down, tells you about the transmission, clutch, diaphragm spring, single dry plate, hydraulic operated, gearbox, manually operated, 4-speed, all synchromesh unit, and it goes through the different ratios of that. Then the fuel system, fuel pump, AC mechanical carburetor, twin SU type, HD8, tank capacity 12 imperial, 14.4 US gallons, including reserve capacity of 1.25 imperial, 1.5 US gallons. So yeah, interesting at the bottom it says there's a reserve tap cable operated from the driving position. I guess, if you're running low, you can move to the reserve and you know exactly how much you've got left in there. Kind of like think about that as being more sort of like a motorbike thing. But anyway, moving down. So air cleaner is a Cooper's twin paper element. Top cover breather, AC wire mesh, positive crankcase, ventilation control valve were required by law. Cooling system, pump, fan and thermostat. Maximum working pressure 7 psi. Capacity 17 imperial, 20.5 US pints. Suspension front coil spring, double wishbone with top links mounted longitudinally. Rear Rover modified DD-on sliding tube type coil springs. Shock absorbers, hydraulic, telescopic, non-adjustable. It's like 1-inch bore. I think it was, quite advanced really for what the car was actually. Steering though is just a worm and roller follower, and it goes into the details there. Does it tell you that the turning ratio in feet? I don't think I can see that there, but it does tell us it's 3 3/4 turns lock to lock, and the steering column rather nicely is adjustable for rake. Tyres are Pirellis, even going down to telling you how much PSI is in each tyre. Tells you about the wheels of 14-inch diameter pressed steel, and the standard unit would have wheel covers, although you could get them optional ones. Actually, it goes into that now. So the optional wheels, as we saw on that previous page, Magstar 1 cast aluminium centre spoke type wheel on 5.5 painted steel rim. or a Magnum 500 Deluxe deep drawn all steel wheel with chrome plated spoke sections and rim. Brakes, Girling disc brakes, front and rear, yep, front and rear disc brakes, again showing its advancement. Electrical system, I'm not going to read the full list of the electrical system, but certainly I'll leave it there if you do want to see what sort of fitments are on this car. So if you pause the screen now and I'll move the camera. But there's certainly some very interesting things on there. Variable speed windshield wipers and electrically operated windshield washers on single switch, ice alert, outside temperature sensing probe with interior warning lights. You think about them things as being very modern things, having a little bit of a temperature on there. Anyway, heating and ventilation, fresh air heater, face level ventilation with booster blower, temperature and distribution controls, single air inlet and shut-off control, 2-speed blower, full width windshield demist and defrost. Body and interior seats trimmed in prime quality hide. Front seats adjustable fore and aft. Nice. Front seat backs rest tilt to fully reclined position. Armrest on all doors. Individual rear seats with wide folding centre armrest. Accommodation for occasional third rear passenger. So it does certainly describe this as a 4-door car and just saying, you know, occasionally you might be able to get 5 in there. Heavy pile carpets with felt underlays, ashtrays front and rear, 2 large lockable glove lockers and trinket tray, wide parcel tray, provision for safety harness, padded sun visors, washable headlining, framed interior mirror, flat glass dipping mirror. Body exterior, immensely strong base unit fitted with interchangeable body panels, hood and trunk lid are of aluminium alloy. Base unit is paint dipped and all exterior panels are spray electrostatically. All doors are hinged at forward edge and have sill locking buttons with 0 torque locks. Front doors can be locked with or without keys to give free action of exterior push button. Rear doors can only be locked and unlocked from the inside and give free action of exterior push buttons. Front doors have separate key locks. All exterior bright trim is in stainless steel, including door upper frames. Radiator grille is anodized aluminium. So then it goes on to the body colours for the North American market. Talking about the interior first, the following colours are available: black, buckskin, buffalo, sandalwood, red, and the exterior, the following colours are available: Venetian red, racing red, zircon blue, Ardon green, April yellow, burnt grey, white blue. And then it goes into saying some of the capacities again. I'm not going to read all those capacities out for you. However, it does mention the turning circle here actually as 31.5 feet, which isn't bad at all. Performance data, here we go. Obviously they're very proud of the performance figures of this car. Some brochures do a 0 to 60. Very common to do a 0 to 62, of course. 0 to 50, a lot of brochures did 0 to 50, so it sounded nicer at 0 to 50. But yeah, a 0 to 30, all the way up to a 0 to 90 miles per hour, it's showing the figures for. So 0 to 60, 11.45 seconds. Very good for the time. 0 to 90 in 27.5 seconds. Probably quicker than a 2CV to 60, I would imagine. Standing quarter mile, 18.5 with a lovely top speed of 112. Standard equipment then. So standard was your ice alert electronic probe. You got bumper guards with rubber inserts. We get Pirelli radial ply gold band tyres. Outside rear view racing mirror. Tachometer, aluminium spoked butterhead adjustable steering wheel, wooden gear shift knob, fully adjustable bucket seats, English prime leather upholstery, pile carpeting, dipping rear view mirror, seat belt anchorages front and rear, windshield washers, electric clock, high efficiency heating system, twin safety sun visors and vanity mirrors. And then the optional equipment of front shoulder harnesses, mandatory, air conditioning, factory installed, tinted glass, sunshine roof, radio, the Magnum 500 wheels or Magstar wheels, heated rear window, roof rack, rear shoulder harnesses. We then get the proof that this is a North American brochure, so the Rover Motor Company of North America Limited. We've got the US addresses there, and also the Canadian regional offices as well. And then at the bottom that just quite simply says printed in the USA. So there we go, this lovely brochure. I'm glad you stuck with me even though there's some black and white, because some really good information in there, and really a reminder what a remarkable car the Rover P6 was, and here particularly the Rover 2000 TC. I think if you owned one of these from new in the 60s, you would have felt like you was someone a bit special and possibly a little bit futuristic in your car choice. But thank you so much for watching today. Let me know your thoughts and feelings, and we'll end as usual with a request to subscribe. If you've not done already, please do consider subscribing. It is completely free and keeps you in touch with the channel. Thank you so much for watching today. Please do take care. We'll see you again very soon. All the best and goodbye.